Assalamu alaikum. As the press, we are the people's watchdog. We keep a close watch on political players to make sure they uphold their oaths of office and deliver on the wishes of the people. And this is why we matter in a democracy. I'm Zaishan Ahmed, and this is the Fourth Estate. After a period of relative calm and peace in the country, we are again seeing signs of imminent turmoil and chaos. On one hand, the opposition claims the government is more interested in gunpowder and fireworks rather than the needs of the people, and on the other hand, the government insists it is on the cutting edge of fulfilling its 5-year developmental agenda. To learn more about the government's developmental plans and discuss concerns of the opposition, joining me tonight is the Minister of Fisheries and Agriculture, Dr. Mohammed Chine. Minister, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
In addition to being a minister, you also serve on the Cabinet's Economic Council. What are the Council's current projects?
The Council meets every day. We spend about 2 hours in average a day to discuss on the major projects. And we don't have a particular mandate of looking after certain projects, but all the CapEx projects that is run by the government comes through the council. And what we do is we try to expedite these projects through various ministries. And the idea is to get the resources, various resources, human, financial, and all the resources diverted to best use at a given time. So, for example, today we were discussing on the bridge project. As you know, the Chinese team is here to design the bridge, and we were discussing on available land areas for precasting the bridge components. But if it goes through one ministry to the other ministry, it will be difficult for a stakeholder line ministry to get these areas available. But foreseeing all these projects together by the Economic Council, it is very easy for us, while all the other stakeholder ministers sit in the council to decide, okay, we have this area or this land available for a certain period of time, so we will allocate this for this use. So we discuss almost all the economic projects that comes to the government and also run by the ministries, and try to get the focus or the diverted to the best way to implement it. So the council sits every day and discuss on these projects, and that is the reason why actually we are getting quite good progress on the economic agenda of the government.
Now, the ruling party came to power with a rather ambitious economic agenda. How much of the agenda do you think has been realized so far?
I think if you look into everyday life, it is very difficult to say that there is a linear progress. It won't be. It will be an exponential progress, because we came to power. President Jammeh took oath of the office, while the government has, in the past 5 years, the government has been captured into a kind of what you call a mess, or conflicting interest, or hyped political interests. For the reason the government's economical agenda or the development agenda has not been really pushed forward. So it took some time for the government to actually get the ball rolling or get the momentum to do something. So for the first 14 months, the government did very well, and we believe we achieved a lot to bring people out from the culture of not having projects run to a state where we start get the projects going, and also to build confidence on the part of the foreign investments to get the projects into the country. And that happened, and that started rolling. And at that point, after 14 or 15 months in office of the president, unfortunately the political opponents wanted to disrupt this progress that the government is doing, and therefore there has been some delays in the projects. But if you look into the government agenda or government's agenda, the promises made by the president on various different sectors, everything is in line with what we have promised, and it is going well. However, I still would like to note that there are some delays because opposition tries to stop us moving forward or to progress with the agenda. But we are not here to do an easy task. We understood even at the time of taking the office that this will come across. So we are ready to do it. We are dealing with it, and inshallah, we are still moving in line with the plans.
So that means the government is not hampered by the opposition's efforts to derail the development process.
Yes, not to derail, but I wouldn't say it doesn't hamper the progress. It does hamper the progress, because when the opposition continuously try to make havoc in the country, to diffuse the kind of focus that the external projects or for the external investors to come in, it makes it makes a difference, and we feel the difference. For example, for the projects that was weekly investors coming into my office has stopped, but now the investors that has come are also asking for clarity whether the political instability in the country would jeopardize their investments or not. So we have to keep on the communication to make sure that these investors are not frustrated with the political instability or political insensitivity that we have in the country. It does hamper the progress, but still I wouldn't say it has derailed us from our target. We are moving ahead, and we believe that together the government is a strong government, and we can deliver the promises that we have claimed or we have said to the people at the onset of this government.
So when it comes to investors, the political instability thing is still in the equation, right? Now, given that the political instability is a concern, there is certain confusion as to what the government's focus areas are in terms of development. We do keep hearing the catchwords youth economy, but people need clarity as to the real aims of the government. What are the government's focus areas for the next 3 years?
As you would understand, a president's term in the office, he comes to serve the people. So obviously the focus is the social agenda or the social well-being of the people. But from the experience we have had in the past, we know that even if we sincerely we want to get these social agendas pushed and delivered, if we don't have economic power, if we don't have economic diversity, we cannot deliver them. So that's why President Jammeh's focus is development, economical development. But with that, as if you actually look into the programs, we have delivered social programs more or in a better way than any other government has in the past. For example, this medical insurance for all the people, whatever the cost is, this has not been done by any government before. The assurances or the kind of a pocket money given to the elderly has never been done before at the level that we are doing now. But this all comes at a cost, and that cost we have to bear, and that is why economic development is so important. Of course, the religious development or the development in our belief is also very important. And if you again look into this area, government has delivered at a level that no other government has been able to do in a short period of time. So we have introduced Arabic into the system, into the academic system. We have opened more schools, or we have started opening more schools in Arabic medium, and next year we will have another 2 schools in Arabic medium. So even at the religious level, we are delivering a lot, but all this come at a cost, and that cost is only gained through the economic projects. So that's why economics is very important. Then you hear about the youth. If you really look into the population, large part of the population are youth. So that means that we have to find a way to get these people motivated and be part of the development. And that's why President Jammeh's focus on youth is seen, because he understands, and Excellency have already mentioned in a lot of the programs, that if the government is a moving body, then the engine or the fuel to move this is the youth. So that's why we want the youth to come out and be part of this development. Of course, in terms of manpower, if we don't get the youth involved, we will not be able to run the government or to run this engine. If we import all the labor from outside, as we have done for a very long time, all the profits that we gain from this economic developments or developed projects are again gone out overboard. So we want to cap at a level that we can get the youth engaged and also keep the profit to ourselves to enjoy. So the government overall focus, like anyone's, is the president's focus is the social development, well-being of the people. But to achieve those, he is actually trying to get the support of the youth or the involvement of the youth, because that is an area where we have to harvest the power, to the energy to run the projects, and then the economic projects, because president have had a lot of experience in the area of economic development, and he has proven in his terms in previous offices that he can deliver the economic development. So with all that together, this government focus, I think you will see very, very in line with what the pledges are of the government.
Now, you mentioned that the government has been going forward with the development projects on a very steady momentum. What would you say are the most significant achievements of the Amin administration so far?
In terms of economic development, I think if you see the dollar issue, which was an issue of everyone at the time, because we easily go abroad for many reasons, for medicine, for enjoyment, for shopping and many other things. And I think today people do not have to queue for dollar is a good sign that the economy is going in the right direction. So it has been that is a huge achievement for this government. But also, if you look into each of the sectors, for example, if you look at the sports in terms of youth, I think you will hear now every week or every fortnight that stadium is open. This is the kind of effort that was put in the first year. You are getting the fruits out now, because it takes some time to get the fruit out of a tree. So now only we are seeing those projects come into fruition. And the other big development, I think we know inside the government when we sit in the council, and we really realize that the bridge is there, because we know that it is I mean, with certainty that the bridge is coming. So for us, even though the public have not seen a pillar or part of the bridge, we see that it is being realized. So that is a big achievement for the government. And again, the big projects like the airport project, we see it coming. So for us, it's a big achievement that we have secured the investors or the funds or the contractors for this project. That for us are big achievements. But I think when you see people or the general public, what you see or what you feel in the street, out on the street, is what we have achieved. We were able to bring calm, stability to the country for the 14 months. Unfortunately, after that, the opposition did not like the calm and the stability in our streets. So again, this has started. But until then, we were able to bring that calm and stability as well. If you look into the developed countries, people are mostly satisfied when they are happy, and you don't see protests or you don't see this kind of volatility when people are fulfilled or people are happy with what they get. And we did see that in the first 14 months of the government. But unfortunately, Maldives is a very small place. If someone wants to make havoc, it's very easy to do it. I mean, if you see it, a street now 50-70 people is completely making havoc in our streets, and that is not difficult in a place like the Malé or in the Maldives. But if you go out to any of the islands, you will see in each island there's a project running. So that shows the kind of development the government is bringing to the nation. I mean, if you physically travel to any part of the country and visit any of these major islands or the big islands, you will see a project happening in any of these islands. And that shows the kind of development that the government is bringing. But like I said, even 50 people can actually just kind of perceive people's or may stage that there is a big problem in the country, but it's not.
So is the government rattled by these 50 people?
Not really, not really. But there is a limit to everything, and I would say that the government is concerned that these 50 people is completely hampering the development of the country, and that shouldn't be the way. So that's why the government is not rattled. We have handled the situation. We are allowing as much as possible within the regulations to demonstrate. There is no problem in that. But when the laws and regulations are not respected, then the government has to act, because it is time that the government comes out and show to the public or give the public confidence that the government will act if rules are broken.
In his presidential address in March, the president estimated that the economic growth of the Maldives in 2014 stood at 8.5%, and that the figure is expected to rise to 10.5% at this year. And he has also said that certain measures will be taken to increase state revenue. So can you tell us some of these measures?
Yes, of course. As you know, nearly 60% or above of the revenue or the GDP is contributed from the tourism industry. And one area where we are focusing is to develop more tourism projects. And for that, government has given many incentives. As you hear, we are going to give for sovereign guarantee if the fund is availed at 4% or less. And this is also to increase the projects in the Maldives for the tourism, also to make the progress or give progress to the stagnated tourism projects. So that is one area where the government is working, but also to maintain the 10.5% growth. One area is also to reduce the cost of the government or the increase the efficiency of the government. So the aligning or focusing the subsidies on those that they really need is one of those areas where government is trying to cut down on wasteful spending, for example. But also in all the other areas like fisheries, agriculture and other sectors, the value addition to the industry to increase the input throughput of all these sectors are areas where we increase the revenue. But also the land projects or the real estate projects that we foresee in the future are areas where revenue will come into the country as well. As you know, the Hulmale phase 2 is already finished, or the reclamation part of it is finished. Once the roads and the major development infrastructure projects are placed, these areas will be sold or rented out to various investors who are lined up to invest in these areas. So all this put together is all revenue measures that the government has foreseen to get this 10.5%. But many other areas we are negotiating with, you have heard on the oil projects.
Oil exploration.
Not only the exploration, but also to get cheaper oil, or to find a way that we can get efficiency out of the oil that we use. Are areas where we are looking into to diversify our oil-related or oil hunger areas to other areas, or natural gas, or other areas, solar or renewable energy.
Talking about oil, how far has the oil project progressed?
The oil project, as you know, and as you have seen in the agenda or government's agenda, was to explore all necessary means to get to find oil or to get oil into the country. Like I have explained earlier, it takes more than a year or 2 years or 3 years to get the oil actually production, if you even find oil. And so far what we have done is with the limited resources that we have, meaning that the budget, depending on the budget situation or the budgetary richness in the country, we have been able to get good results on the science of oil or oil-related other products in the country, and that we want to expand. But we don't have enough finance or the financial power to do it ourselves. So the current stage is we are negotiating with foreign partners who are willing to help us out to explore for oil. So I estimate within the next month we will be able to sign an MOU with a foreign party to explore further into areas where we can actually try to get some solid results on the oil. So that is how far we have gotten to oil exploration or trying to get or find oil or gas in the country. And there's a good chance that we will find it. Inshallah, we will do it. But as I said earlier, the promise is that we will explore all possible means to see or to find if we have the resources in the country.
What challenges are there to the fisheries sector of the Maldives? We have heard that there are some difficulties faced by local companies in the export and trade of their fish products with the international market. What are the difficulties?
Actually, there isn't an issue with the international market. It's just that we have lived in a way, in a very relaxed way in the past, that we are very much dependent on the foreign market. For example, maybe you are referring to the export into the European market is limited or was limited because of the duty exemption issue. But to be honest, with the economic idea or our agenda, we have currently, after I think it was the end of 2013 that we lost the duty-free exemption. But until now, 1 year passed, we have learned to live with this kind of I wouldn't say sanctions, but to live in the real market. So this is a strength to the sector where they can actually do without the subsidies, and we are proud that the fisheries sector is doing as equal or better than before without the subsidies. So that is what we want to change the economic sector. We want all the economic sectors to be very resilient, because we know that we cannot always live with all these incentives, because we have moved away or we have promoted from a very least developed country to middle earning or developing country. So we have to also change our ways of life to suit with that. So I think in the fisheries sector, the challenge is only the climate variation. With the climate variation, the availability of fish or catchability of fish is going down. But the government is addressing that by actually diversifying the fisheries industry. As you know, last year we diversified our fishery into getting long line fishery as well. So we are almost getting an equal share of income from long line than compared to the hand line and also skipjack pollen line fishery. So with all these sectors diversified, plus we are getting into the aquaculture or mariculture industry. So that is also to diversify industry, because we want the industry to be very resilient. We don't want just a simple or one or two parameters to impact the whole industry. So that is the economic thinking behind development of economic sectors.
You were a member of the delegation that visited Saudi Arabia in March, and we heard that a number of fruitful discussions were held with the Saudi Arabian government. Can you share some of the outcomes of the discussions?
Yeah. Actually, it was one of the, I think, I would say one of the successful trips that the Maldives had, according to the people who have been in the government and been part of this trip, claims that this might be the most successful trip that a government has done to abroad. One key strategic change is in the joint commission or the joint statement, where Saudi Arabia mentioned that Maldives will be a principal partner or a key partner to the Maldives in the development. That gives us a signal of actually Saudi Arabia interested in the development projects in the Maldives. And they have promised that we will get those projects into we will come to the Maldives. On the second week of May, or 2nd of May rather, a Saudi fund is visiting Maldives to look into the areas where they have promised that there will be funding. And this is going to be concessional funding to the government on projects that we have not been able to move forward. So that is, those are very key areas. I don't think it will be very responsible for me to give out all the details of these projects without actually being actually signed. But we are looking into many projects running into 400-500 million projects amounting to this. Cumulatively, we are talking about $1 billion or more dollars coming into the country through various projects. With Saudi also, we discussed on many other areas, areas on pilgrimage, for example, increased the quota by 100%, and that is an area where a lot of people have been anxiously waiting, because
and also scholarships,
150 scholarships, and the scholarships have been already awarded. We have sent in the names of students, and the education ministry is looking into areas where we can get some students where there is strength in Saudi Arabia, in the university in Saudi Arabia. It's not only religious and Islamic studies, it is also economic areas. It is about business studies, it's about engineering studies. So I think some people might think that this is only religious scholarships or Islamic studies or recitation of Quran, but no, it's also on economic areas. So these are areas where we have discussed with Saudi Arabia, and we will inshallah get this into the country very soon. And I have been continuously in contact with the Saudi officials. We have got a system where we communicate, and the communication is going ahead. We will get this, like I said, 2nd of May is the date where the Saudi fund will visit us. We have been already communicated by some investors where they have shown interest to take part in the projects in the Maldives. So we will see very soon what those are.
We have seen a very sharp increase in the number of activities, economic activities and projects between the Maldives and Chinese government. What does this partnership, this growing strong partnership, mean for Maldivians?
It's actually, I would say, government of Maldives is open to all the countries. Whoever is interested in the Maldives as a partner to development, we are very happy to receive them. So likewise, China has been a very strong partner with the Maldives. In the past few months or past few years, I would say, with this government's intention to continue the relationship with a strategic relation with foreign partners, have actually given, I would say, the Chinese some kind of confidence that the government is open for foreign investment, and that is open for any country. But Chinese investors, partners, they are very willing to take those risks and come into the areas where we have not have had any projects. And I think it's only natural, because if you see into the region, they have had a lot of investment, or they are still having a lot of investments into Sri Lanka. They have got a lot of projects in Africa. They have got a lot of projects running in India, for example, or the kind of assistance that they pledged to India was enormous. So this is a power that is economic power that is growing, and the people of China, or the businessmen in China, they want to expand their horizon. So Maldives is one of those places where we have been able to show them that there is a chance in the Maldives for them to invest, and that is the interest that we have given from this government to any country. But they have the funds, they have the resources, they are here, we welcome them, and the projects are going.
How would you describe the growth of the agricultural sector of the country? What are your plans?
The thinking behind agriculture sector is the same, that they have is a resilient sector where we don't depend on foreign or outside parameters. And I think Maldives being small, we understand that we cannot do mass production here. But at the same time, tourism industry is helps us more than one way. Even for the fisheries, some part of the fishery sector, it's a market that we can sell fish, or the reef fish, or exotic fish to. Similarly, agriculture can produce those products that are very expensive and can be grown in a small area with good profit. We can sell it to the tourism industry. So our focus is that we develop those sectors that we can actually enhance in a small area with good return on it. So, for example, almost all the resorts, for example, now have a vegetable garden. The salad leaves that we grow in the country is very good quality, because if you import them from abroad, you lose the freshness. So there are areas where we can take advantage of, and we are doing it. On the other end, I'm also focusing on food security in the country. So there is a program that we are designing, and very soon we will launch this program to plant staple food kind of plants like breadfruit or healthy vegetables like drumstick, for example, gives a lot of benefit, and it addresses a lot of the diseases that currently we have. So for food security and good health, we are trying to promote a campaign to plant these trees in every island. That is that will be sufficient for the community of the island. But on the other end, we are also focusing on foreign investors and foreign investments into exotic fruits that we have not grown so far. We will see, inshallah, next month project being launched to grow various kind of berries in the country, and with the technology, it is possible now. So those are the areas that we are focusing on the agriculture. But at the same time, if you see, we are very interested, or we are putting a lot of focus on value addition, because we know that there is a limited amount of production that we can do. But if you add value to this, then we can have more jobs. We can add value to it. The return on the product is much higher. So any possible means of actually getting more out of fisheries or agriculture sector, and understanding that we don't have huge areas to plant or to produce these kind of plants, we will take advantage of it.
Now, the Maldives is currently in a very bizarre political situation. Jumhuri Party, which was allied with PPM in 2013 elections, has now obviously taken sides with the opposition MDP, and so has Religious Conservative Adalat Party. They have labelled the government as being cruel and autocratic, saying that former President Nasheed and ex-Minister Nazim are political prisoners and they were not given a fair trial. What do you have to say about this?
I think it's very obvious that the opposition will always claim the sitting government of all these I think unnecessary, I would say unnecessary remarks, because for anyone who comes and look into these issues, for example, President Nasheed's case was not lodged by this government, it was lodged by the previous government. And what this government has done is not to intervene into a process where we don't have, a democracy should not intervene. And looking into ex-Minister Nazim's case, it's again an area where ex-Minister Nazim has all means to take into the court's second process, the second layer, third layer of the judiciary, to test it out. So I think the only thing this government has not done or refrained from doing is to intervene like other governments into these areas, and that's the only thing we have done. And I think that is democracy.
Now, the opposition has been asking for a viable political solution to this crisis. Do you think there is any viable political solution?
Once we get into a political solution to this, that shows that the government is intervening on a process where we should not. And I think that is something that the opposition should not ask, because they are asking the government to intervene to judiciary, which is something that we are totally against, and democracy does not allow. So I think it's completely baseless allegations at the government. If you go back to sometimes up until 14 months or 15 months of the government, there was no issue. And when the opposition came onto the streets, whatever they have claimed, they are claiming now did not exist. President Nasheed was amongst the protesters. Minister Nazim was in the cabinet. The government has nothing to do with any of those when they came out to the streets and protested. So this shows that the whole protest and everything is baseless, because what they are claiming now did not exist at the time of the beginning of the protests. So it's just changing to whatever they want to change. And I think the only reason is that the opposition sees that if the government's development project goes as it is going now, there is really no chance for the opposition, or there is nothing for them to justify to the public to say that they want to come into the power. And that is the only reason why they want to hamper this development project of President Jammeh. Otherwise, there is no real there's no real reason for that. But I also ask the public, or ask the opposition rather, I mean, what would they gain out of this? The government or this country has gone through this for the last 5-6 years. What have we achieved? If you completely destroy the social fabric of the country, the economic pillars of the country, and then what is there to rule this in this country? So I really see there is nothing that they can do. I mean, if I were the opposition, what I would do is just learn from the current experiences and try to build upon it, and then come to in front of the public and say in 2018 that, okay, this is what the government has done, and we will do this better to the people, and let the people decide. But we know that the opposition, the current opposition, does not have the teeth to actually do any of these things. They don't have the capacity to think the way President Jammeh thinks, because we have not innovated anything. There is no innovation, there is no reinventing of wheel. We have just taken these the way, I mean the projects or the economic development agenda or the thinking is, it was there. I mean, when we say sea ambulances, this was not new sea ambulances. This was something that was lying on our lagoons. But President Jammeh has the kind of thinking and experience where he could change this to a more efficiently to use. So what we have done is actually the strength of the president, who has served in the public office for a very, very long time. He has got the business experience. He has been in the Majlis Parliament for a very long time. So that is the strength that we have. And the cabinet is 100% behind the president to deliver his agenda or the promises that he pledges.
Thank you, Mr. Shiny, for joining us tonight and giving that valuable information. We wish the Jammeh administration all the best.
Thank you for having me here.
Thank you. This is me, Jashan Namir, signing off, hoping to return next week to discuss yet another issue of national and social importance. Thank you for watching. Good night.
न्यूट्रो स्पेशल क्रेकर्स एत बाइक के इतबार होता पावे
वरम मीर
न्यूट्रो स्पेशल क्रेकर्स की पैकेट गागिन अदद का बिस्कोदे कुलेवे आगे मीरु बिस्कोदे
वरक कमदा बिस्कोदे
बिंदा बिंदा काला न्यूट्रो स्पेशल क्रेकर्स लोनोमेद टोमाटो मीरु के अवापी जैसा
Miru King garlic chili sauce.
मीर को फुरिहम को खालिवेनी मिसो सुरेगे
Miru King tomato sauce.
कुंबे को मिसो से कमक लुदे हम रंगड़ी
Miru King chili sauce.
सोसे वेजिया राहे बेसुंजे
Miru King fried chicken chili sauce. Enjoy the great taste.
किंग टोमाटो सॉस
imported and marketed by Miami Traders. Phone 331-8850.
Sena, ko ba sale tani monita?
Ade kon sale miharos red wave unga bari enhas rupiya ge wefari 61 rupiya kolle.
Enhas rupiya ge wefari red wave komendara kadiyas. Ha hege badal ga 61 rupiya wanata ti kiya.
Mari hamba red wave unga punani emi hu vikauga MMS vikanama takati ga gobodo ge ekak kosnu le.
eden hama sate eka ga wa.
Enhas rupiya ge wefari 61 rupiya kolluma red wave majidi maga.
Red wave mart roshani
maga. Red wave plaza sayid kuek fan maga adi red wave mall majidi maga wada ti ba ge jeevat 61 rupiya jama ko.
Baby like Anika was sandwich. 1, 2, 3, 4 piece free. We wouldn't baby like it. But 12 case, 1 case free. Tutu therefore go for the hingamajoma. Baby like Penakorama.
Tirag postpaid and Nangava, Adi I like Singapore ga ufarid chutting head the column ge fursat hodava. Hatar befrunang hatar doge hurum, Adi Singapore ge mashur tantam balwa levuma tuata. Tuata geterega, night safari, river cruise, gardens by the bay, Adi Universal Studio balwa levum ge fursat. Tirag postpaid and Nangava Singapore ga chutting head the kolava.
Effects, the mental energizer.
And England need to find a goalkeeper from somewhere. Look at that! He's only won it for them! New hero! Extraordinary!
ವರ ಬಲಾಗೆ ವಿಷ್ಣುತರಿಕಮಾಯಕು ಹುವಾಲೆವೆ ಮಿಸಾಫತಕಿ ಶ್ರೀಲಂಕಾಗೆ ಫರ್ಬದು ಮತೀಗ ಬಂದು ಕುರೆವೆ ಮೀರ್ ಸಾಫತೆ ತಾಜಾ ಕಂಕೆಲ್ಲುವಾನುಲ ವರ ಬಲಾಗೆ ಬಂದು ಕುರುಮಗೆ ಸಬುಂ ಕೊಮ್ಮೆ ಮೀಹಕವೆಸ್ ಅಕ್ಬರ್ ಸಾ ಮೀರುವೆ ಅಕ್ಬರ್ಗಾ ಎವಾ ರೈಟ್ ಕುಲಾಗೆ ಅಸ್ಲಕಿ ಮಿಸಾ ಕ್ವಾಲಿಟಿ ಕೊ ಫ್ರೆಶ್ ಕೊ ಉಪೆತ್ತುಮಕ್ ಕುರೆವೆ ಮಸಕ್ಕತುಗೆ ನತೀಜಾ ಅಕ್ಬರ್ ಫ್ರೆಶ್ ಅದಿ ಕ್ವಾಲಿಟಿ ಮೀರ್ ಸಾ